Yo, what's up guys? Jason here to give my review for episode 6 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And man, this episode was very, very good. Why? Because Jonathan went in, Zappelli went in, Tarkus went in, hell, even Poco went in. I got some mad respect for Poco after this episode. You know, usually a lot of kids wouldn't have done that, but he actually was pretty useful, and he actually pretty much stepped up in this episode. So this episode picks up from last week's, where Jojo was fighting against Bruford underwater. He's about to hit him with the Turkish Blue Overdrive, but right before it hits, Bruford jumps out of the water, lands on shore with only like a scratch on his forehead, and Jojo, he goes after him, but Bruford manages to entangle him with his hair, on some weird snake-like hair thingy, and he drains the blood out of him, but Jojo manages to break free, and Bruford tries to attack him with his sword, but using the ripple, Jojo was able to block the sword and send ripples through the sword, and it pretty much melted his arm off. His arm melted off like hot wax in the sun. Just melted right off. And then Jojo goes in for the kill, mate. Yeah. Sunlight Overdrive! That was awesome. Sunlight Overdrive! That was really awesome, man. I was happy to see that anime because that move is bad ass. So yeah, that's it for Bruford. Bruford is pretty much dying at that moment, but right before he dies, Jojo's ripple was somehow able to awaken his human soul, and he, admires Jojo now that he managed to meet a man like this, even though he was a zombie. A man like this with so much pride, masculinity and all that shit. So, as a token, as a parting gift, he gives him his sword called Luck, but then he takes his blood, he spells it with a P, it's called Pluck. I don't know Pluck, but Pluck, yeah. And then he vanishes away, but Tarkus comes in there. He steps and stomps on his remains. He calls him a disgrace and everything, man. And he tries to attack Jojo, but before that happens, they manage to escape by using the ripple life magnetism to make like this makeshift glider of leaves. And while they're gliding, we got this little flashback back to when Zappelli first learned about the ripple. Pretty much he was in, I think it was India or Tibet, where he came across the master of like this doctor who was able to perform like these miracle health things on people who had dangerous diseases, and he came across this master. I think his name was Tom Petty. I'm not too sure. Tom Petty. It had a T in his name, but he came across him. That's where he learned the ripple. That's the man he trained underneath, and he pretty much foretold that if he learned the ripple, death would come upon him. So that was some foreshadowing right there about Zappelli's fate. And the rest of the episode, it's just Jojo versus Tarkus inside like this ancient knight's training room, and they couldn't. And Zappelli and Speedwagon were unable to get in because of the steel door. But then Poco stepped up, became a man. He managed to sneak in there through the crawl space. He got hit by Tarkus, but he got back up and he kept moving. So I respect Poco. I respect him. I know he used to be bullied, but then his sister pretty much convinced him, to man up and to protect himself. He shouldn't fear pain. You shouldn't be scared and stuff like that. But pretty much, it was a very good episode. Really enjoyed it, man. Jojo for the win. Zappelli for the win. Zappelli went in there like a boss.